My name is Arrianna. I am Bookish Rican NB91, and people also call me Ari by short. I go by they, them pronouns, and I am starting a booktube channel. Um, I'm shaking off some nerves here. I'm not used to being in front of a camera. Um, the Booktube Newbie Tag questions. Let's answer these. Why did you start this channel? I started this channel because I love to read and I love to talk about books, and I don't think that black people have a lot of platforms to talk about books from, and sometimes you just have to make your platform yourself. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Um, I think some new and unique things that I can bring to BookTube are things like coming up with alternate names for books, what I think they should be called because of the subject matter or the things that happen in the book. Or I like to pair my books with salsa music or albums that I think that albums that I think are paired well with those books. And I actually am a musician, so music and books kind of take on a new life for me. So I like to bring and incorporate different aspects and genres into what I'm reading. I know I can't always do or play copyrighted music in the videos, but I can recommend playlists and albums that go along with certain books, because I know that a lot of people are making playlists and things to go with books these days, but I think I can do something unique with it because I am so culturally mixed up and I love all types of music. I'm very eclectic that way, and I think that that could be something unique for me to bring to BookTube. And I know probably people have been doing some of the same things, but I think I can do it with a little bit of a twist. Um, why do I love reading? What are you most excited about for this new channel? I'm most excited about putting myself out there because um, I'm a very shy person and I'm a little bit of an introvert. So being in front of a camera and talking about the things that I love, which is books and music and different things and different topics, I think would be kind of my strong suit. And I actually do have a wealth of information that I think I can share. Why do you love reading? I love reading because it's a way for me to escape from my reality sometimes. Sometimes your outlook or the way your life is going, sometimes you need to escape, you need to unplug from all of the other things out in the world. We have so many screens and phones and TVs and all of these different streaming apps and things. And sometimes you just need to unplug, pull out that book, just read and transport yourself to a different place. And that's why I love reading, because sometimes you can insert yourself into so many different adventures and places and just putting yourself in the situation of these characters sometimes kind of expands your outlook on the world, because you have read these worlds, these authors have built these worlds for you to enjoy. And I love to read things like that, that have good character development, good world building, and just overall, just everything is very cohesive, and it helps you to just get away for a little while, you know? And with quarantine happening and things like that, we can use a little bit of escape, especially since a lot of us are quarantined in our houses, in our apartments, and can't really go anywhere else. So, being here has made me increase what I read, and I fell back in love with reading because of me having to be in one place for so long. Um, what book or series got you into reading? My favorite book of all time, my very first chapter book. My mother made sure that me and my brother knew how to read before we went to preschool. I was reading books. By the time I was about 3, I was reading full sentences. My mom started us on Hooked on Phonics as soon as we were old enough to really like talk or anything or make any phonemic sounds with our mouths. She made sure that we could read before we went to preschool. So at about 2.5, 3, I was already reading full children's books and things like that. My very first chapter book made me fall in love with reading. I read the classic, uh, A Little Princess. It was my favorite book. I read it when I was 4 years old, and my mom, it was crazy because my mom took me to Barnes and Noble, and she was like, pick any book on the shelf. And I saw this pretty book with this girl on the front, and when I read the title, I was like, oh, this is that movie I love so much. And I wanted to read the book. I saw the book and I wanted it. And my mom was like, well, that's a little bit too advanced for you. Do you want something else? And I was like, no, I want this book. So she went ahead and bought it for me. And she bought me a dictionary because she knew I wasn't going to be able to understand everything that was written in the book. And she also said, if you need any help understanding or comprehending anything, ask questions. And then she sent me on my way. So on the train, on the bus, anywhere I went, I was there with my thick A Little Princess book and my dictionary and a piece of paper and pen so I can write down the sentences that I couldn't understand. So that was my introduction to reading. Like that book right there, I still have it. It's not here in my apartment, but it's back at home. One of my dogs got a hold of it and like chewed the spine just a little bit, and I was just determined to keep it, so I just taped it and put it back on the shelf. Um, that was my introduction to reading. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Oh, that's hard. What's crazy is I'm actually pretty good friends with one of my favorite booktubers. We actually communicate, and I don't want to mention his name, but I will because he actually was one of the people who kind of encouraged me to go ahead and do this and have fun. Just have a lot of fun with it. And I really, really thank him for that because he could have been like, no, don't do that. There are better things for you to do. But I think that I would ask him in particular, um, I guess, what is his favorite book of all time and why? And what is his favorite book series of all time and why? Because I know um, a lot of people have Harry Potter was their favorite series. And I know that's probably changed for a lot of people. We're not going to mention any of the things that have conspired or transpired or whatever. We're just going to say that we know that for a lot of people that has changed, and a lot of people's attitudes have changed towards certain things. And I think that this quarantine has also made us explore new genres that wouldn't necessarily um, we wouldn't necessarily read otherwise. So yeah, I would ask Luxurious Blue what his favorite like series of all time or his favorite book of all time is, because I know it changes quite a bit, and I'd probably ask him 1 month and then like wait a few months and ask him again because I know my favorites tend to change very often. It's okay because I'm an evolving person and an evolving human being, and I'm reading books all the time, and things change. Uh, what is the next question? What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Oh, uh, I think the hardest, the hardest challenge that I will have as a booktuber is coming up with new content on a regular basis for however many weeks or however many consecutive, you know, instances where I will have to upload new content and make sure that the viewers will enjoy it, you know. But I am up for every challenge, and every challenge that is posed, I will decide uh, how to go about all of that. Um, when did you start reading? I think I've already actually um, answered this question. I started reading when I was 2.5, 3, and I haven't looked back since. Where do I read? I read anywhere. Like, um, I'm in New York, so I tend to read in parks, and I go to the libraries that are around. There's actually a really nice library in Manhattan that has an outdoor space where you can read. Um, and you can pick a space and just sit down, read. It's a nice little park area. They have outdoor bathrooms and everything. It's actually called an outdoor library if I'm not mistaken, but it's a really nice space to just go read, and it's really peaceful most of the time. They also have like little bazaars and things that they hold at this library, and it's really nice. I also love to read in the Langston Hughes. There's a Langston Hughes uh, lobby in this library in Harlem. It's a really nice space, and actually, Langston Hughes is buried there. There's this huge, um, it's called the Cosmogram, and right in the eye of the Cosmogram, he is interred. Um, his ashes are interred underneath the Cosmogram, which is, like I said, it's huge. And it just makes you feel like you are reading in good company, you know, just the spirit of Langston is all in that room. And I actually really love to read over there. They usually kick you out, but I know the security guards, and they kind of let me have run of the library. They don't mess with me too much, so I just go read in the Langston Hughes lobby. Um, when I'm at home right now, we're on quarantine, and I read here in the living room, or I read in the bedrooms. I read. eh, That's pretty much it. It's not really anywhere to read when you're on quarantine, except for in the comfort of your own home, anywhere you feel comfortable. So, quarantine has kind of cut off a lot of my avenues of having nice scenery to read in. But, I read, I get my books, and I sit here and I make TBR lists in my head and things like that. So I read pretty much anywhere in the apartment right now, but when I read, I do like going out to the many parks New York has to offer and read and sit on a bench. And strangers really don't bother you. You can hear the birds and stuff like that, but it's pretty peaceful to read in the park. Um, yeah, I kind of miss it. But with that said, I hope that eventually things are safe and I can go to my favorite spots and read again. Uh, what kind of books do you like to read? Oh boy, that's quite a question. Um, I'm more of a novel reader. I read anything from YA. I've dabbled into some middle grade books recently because I really, really just wanted to read it. Rick Riordan has uh, Rick Riordan presents, and there are books that are part of that imprint that are really good. I actually really liked Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. That was really good. And I don't really read middle grade, but it's really good for me. Um, I read YA, mostly fantasy. I do love a good um, Elizabeth Acevedo book. I tend to try to stick with um, authors of color, and lately I have been more invested in stories about people of color who are actually queer, because I feel like not enough of these books represent the intersection between being black and queer, or minority and queer. So I have been, keeping tabs on a lot of these books that are by authors of color. Um, I love anything that includes or incorporates any type of African spirituality into the story. That was one reason why I really loved Clap When You Land. And Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance, I really loved because of that African spirituality aspect. Also incorporated with the magic, tropes and all of that stuff. I really, really loved those books. So I would say I span from like fantasy to I like anti-racial books, and queer books, and basically anything that has a good story, um, good story, good universe building, or good world building, whatever. I dabble into almost anything if an author of color is involved at all. Um, Other than that, I really, really look forward to this new journey with everyone. I am mostly really, really, really excited to start talking about some of these books, because I have been reading some books that a lot of black booktubers have not been reading, and I think that I can bring to the table or suggest some new things that they might be able to check out and eventually maybe like a little bit. So I'm reading more books. I am wading through everything that I have in my apartment. It's so much, but I will be starting out with a couple of videos, short videos on some maybe uh, graphic novels, because they are valid as, modes of literature. So I want to start doing a lot of comic books and epic uh, media stuff with people of color. One of my favorite one of my favorite comic books is La Borinqueña, which is this Puerto Rican superhero who is actually a, a environmentalist. She's an environmentalist, and she goes to Puerto Rico to finish her research for her degree. So that one's good. I have quite a few graphic novels that I would love to expose people to, just because they're not very well known. They're indie comic books and not many people know about them, but they are by black and Puerto Rican and, well, Hispanic and you know, people of color who have put their money into these projects and come out with some really, really good products. So I think that's another thing that I can contribute. So with that said, let's end this video. This is my booktuber tag, my booktuber newbie tag, and I'm out.